you're not just freed from sin or from slavery, you're freed for purpose. You're freed for your destiny. You're freed to live out your divine design. But if you don't know what that is, then you'll quickly pine to go back into slavery, because at least you were getting your 3 squares, though you were getting beaten while you're eating them. This is the thing. I want to talk to some of you who maybe you're a believer, you know Jesus, and you got free, but you've slipped back into all those things that used to enslave you. You've slipped back into your weird lust thing. You've slipped back into using substance behind closed doors so no one can see. You've slipped back into the old fears and phobias that used to consume you are now coming back. The anxiety that used to consume you that you got free from, coming back. Why does sometimes freedom not seem to stick? And for the Israelites, it was very clear. They got free. They got set out into the wilderness. They hadn't yet come into their destiny of promised land. But because they didn't know what to do now that they were free from, they didn't know what they were free for, it was almost worse than being enslaved. So they said, well, at least we don't know what we're doing here, and we don't know how to provide for ourselves here. God led us out here to starve in the wilderness. At least we had food back in slavery. Let's go back to slavery. That's what happens to the hearts and minds of even Christians who get free but don't know what they're free for. But it's interesting, in Exodus 19, it lays it right out. God says what he freed them for. In Exodus 19, verse 4, it says this. He says, you yourselves have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. See, that's the first step. You're free for a relationship with God and intimacy. That's that recovery of the priest thing. God frees you from sin and evil, slavery, and demonic influences in your life so that you can become his priest, to know him and worship him and experience his love and his presence personally. And that's what you see, that they were freed. He says, I brought you to myself. Now, therefore, this is Exodus 19, 4-6. He says, now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my treasured possession among all the peoples, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you shall speak to the people of Israel. So he freed them so that they could be a chosen special possession, be his priests. And what do priests do? They don't just worship and relate to God. They reflect God himself to the people around them. God wanted Israel to be the ultimate case study, the ultimate testimony of a people freed from slavery and for greatness, a greatness that would show off who God was so other people could get to know God through them. He had wanted to recover them so they could begin to, again, be his image and showcase his likeness to the other nations that didn't yet know God. That's what a priest does. A priest brings the praises and worship to God, and then when the priest encounters God and has intimacy with God, and then from there the priest begins to reflect and release the power and the wisdom of God to the people around them. But not only that, they get relaunched into this wonderful calling and destiny that was always there for them. 1 Peter 2:9 says it perfectly. It says, but you, and this is people who receive Jesus, you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession. It's the same language in the New Testament. And why did he do this? Why did he free you? What did he free you for? What's the purpose for your freedom? He says that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Another version says you may broadcast his excellencies. God doesn't just want you to preach like this. He wants you to channel his creative power and wisdom and love and joy and peace to the people around you. He wants it to come through your life. He wants you to not just barely make it through a day of parenting. He wants to flow his very nature through you so that your kids are touched and transformed by your life. He doesn't want you to just survive your 9 to 5. He wants to fill you with his spirit so that you have the most powerful, poignant, helpful contribution on your work team that people never saw coming and never worked with anybody like you before, where you make everybody around you better. But it's not about you being better. It's about the better one in you who's flowing through you and infusing life into everything around you.